Joy and Shannon, before I get to my points, I'm going to say this one more time. Be very, very clear about this. If you can conclusively prove to me that Ezekiel Elliott beat up his accuser, one Tiffany Thompson, even once, let alone several times, during that week of July 16th of 2016, then I think he should be gone for the entire year. Seriously, if you can just show me and lay it out where he beat her up, even once, let alone several times, gone for the year. I was a big no before Jerry Jones signed Greg Hardy, and as a Cowboy fan, lifelong, I was embarrassed and said so on television when he did sign Greg Hardy. Just to be clear about this, this is very different for me. Jerry Jones, as we know, repeatedly said before the suspension came down, and I quote, of the accusations, there is nothing there. There is nothing there. Ezekiel and his team repeatedly said, there is nothing there. I have never heard Jerry Jones so adamant about a matter of such magnitude in public. Nothing there. Interesting. So I expected the NFL in a statement to lay out, again, off what our man Chris Carter had said, revolting and convincing detail about the damage that Ezekiel Elliott did to Tiffany Thompson during that said week. Instead, all we got from the NFL is just that it found, quote, substantial and persuasive evidence supporting a finding that Elliott engaged in physical violence against Ms. Thompson on multiple occasions during that week. It's a little vague.
Yes.
I need some detail. I need some proof. I need some conclusion here to back me into a corner where I finally say, suspend him for the whole year. I didn't get that. Elliott and his team have repeatedly said that she had pre-existing injuries from a bar fight. Again, I'm not trying to try her case in the court of public opinion. I'm just telling you what they said. And that there were several eyewitnesses who testified during this investigation that she vowed to, when he broke up with her, to quote unquote ruin his career. Okay, that's his side of the story. None of this is crystal clear to me yet. So I'm starting to wonder about what's going on in a case in which there were no charges filed, obviously, in Columbus, Ohio, or Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So those law enforcement arms investigated and found not enough to charge. They said her testimony was at best conflicting and inconsistent. So I can only conclude that we all know that Ezekiel Elliott has been involved in one incident after another. Again, never a charge, but too many incidents. You say it, I agree with you. So, did the NFL come down on him to punish him for all of the above incidents? I think, yes, they did. They finally said, we're not completely sure about the domestic violence, but at least we're sure enough that if we pile all these other incidents on top, and all the things we've all heard, Chris Carter's heard, he's had problems with alcohol, maybe more, that they said, okay, we're going to get you for all of the above, and number two, we're going to make an example of you as the face of domestic violence. We're going to show everyone that we're going to take the hottest young Dallas Cowboy, the guy who's risen all the way up to, what is it, number 2 on the list of merchandise sales to Tom Brady, and we're going to take him down for 6 games just to show the world how serious we are about domestic violence. And in fact, this might all serve as one big, what they call intervention in AA, where the NFL sort of acted as intervening on Ezekiel. And so let's take him out for 6 games and hope that he goes and gets himself straight, okay? So now we come to the appeals process. Help me out here. How in the world, after Roger Goodell has already heard all their side of the story, he went to New York with his team and presented his whole case. How could he hear the whole case again and reduce it even 1 game? It's domestic violence we're talking about. So could he admit publicly, well, you know, I'll give you this. You only beat her up 5 times instead of 6, so I'm going to give you only 5 games instead of 6. You can't do that. No. It's domestic violence. And the policy, the new policy, post-Ray Rice, calls for 6 games for first-time offender, right?
That's the baseline.
Period, end of story. So the appeal is silly to me because even I, from a perspective of a Cowboy fan, you can't reduce this. If you really believe this, you cannot say, okay, 5 games. Baloney, you can't. Now, what have I said for the last 2 weeks on this show? Mm-hmm. I believe Jerry Jones is going to sue Roger Goodell over this. Does Jerry have a leg to stand on?
Nope.
Well, what is it? Article 46 of the CBA says you don't have a leg to stand on because it basically just says that Roger Goodell is judge, jury, and executioner here. And when it comes to anything pertaining to conduct detrimental to the integrity or the public confidence in the game of professional football, the last buck is on the commissioner's desk. And he can do whatever he wants to do. And in the highest court in the land, they're going to have to say, God, sorry, guys, you signed this. You're going to have to live with it.
Buck stopped with him.
You got it. But this is Jerry Jones, the most powerful owner in sports, who owns now the most valuable team in all the world, the Dallas Cowboys. He actually countersued the NFL in 1995 over revenue sharing,
Correct.
Stadium naming rights. We want to keep the rights. We want to be Pepsi instead of the NFL's Coke. And he won. He didn't win the whole lawsuit, but he won parts of that lawsuit. This is the one guy I'm not going to bet against in court. He's got the deepest pockets. Obviously, the NFLPA would initially be asked to help out some to support Zeke in a lawsuit. But this is the guy, in this case, I don't bet against. If you want to go this far, I'll do, it's like I give Conor McGregor a puncher's chance against Floyd.
Right.
Well, I'm going to give Jerry a puncher's chance in a no-win. Obviously, it echoes Deflategate, but it was very different in Deflategate because it wasn't conduct unbecoming off the field. It was, what do you call it, like strategic or competitive,
right,
that you were talking about on the field.
Right.
And the Patriots also got punished there. They got docked a whole first-round draft pick and then another one down the line, a fourth-rounder next year.
Correct.
And $1 million. But in this case, this is Goodell against a player, conduct detrimental, and I believe that Jerry will sue him for what he will claim to be abusive power. And Brady got through 2 rounds of court. Remember, he won at the district level, which was a huge upset because Judge Berman, District Court of Manhattan, basically said, this is crazy. You shouldn't have this much power. And yet,
and that wasn't for him to determine.
It wasn't for him to determine. So it goes to the appeals court, and 2 of the 3 judges sided with the NFL, basically because, hey, you guys signed this, so you got to live with it, okay? Yeah. So the odds are way against Jerry, but I'm going to give him a long shot chance here. And could he get some kind of injunction or restraining order to stop this suspension from happening starting on, what is it, September 2nd, I think it's supposed to start? He could. Now, the Brady wanted to take it to the Supreme Court, and he finally gave up, saying, I've been too distracting for my team. I spent too much of my time and effort. I spent too much of their money, the NFLPA's money on this. So Brady backed off before they went to the Supreme Court and said, okay, I'll pay now instead of paying later. Because even if Jerry got a restraining order, an injunction, then Zeke could have to serve his suspension at the end of the year, which probably wouldn't be the coolest thing to do.
Yeah, you don't want to mess around with this, Skip. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, he files an appeal, and his appeal is heard, and then he's suspended. But he's suspended the last 4 games of the regular season and maybe the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. That's not a very good situation. Nope. And I don't think he can win anyway. Skip, I thought he would be suspended 2 to 4 games based on some of the disputed allegations in said complaint. Now, the NFL did mention that on one occasion, Ms. Thompson misspoke the truth. That's a nice way of me saying, George, she lied. And they found out that she lied. And let me tell you something about courts and how they normally operate. They say a single lie discovered is enough to create doubt in everything expressed.
Thank you.
So basically, they said, yeah, we know you lied about this, but we believe you're telling the truth about that.
Yep.
And I can see why Zeke is upset, but Skip, he has no one to blame but himself. And if you read when the NFL, what they laid out, they said, okay, yeah, this allegation, but there was something that took place on March 11 of 2017. It was brought to our attention that you pulled a lady's top down,
yep,
exposing her breast. We talked to the lady.
Yep.
Do you think that lady said, well, I was with Zeke and that was okay? Or do you think she said, I didn't tell Zeke he could do that? And so they're looking.
I don't know what she said, but you can surmise.
Because if you're thinking about it, Skip, you gotta practice really, really hard to have this many coincidences happening to one guy. The alleged allegations of domestic abuse in Ohio and South Florida, the pulling of the top down, the bar fights, the punching of the bouncer. Skip, this is the same guy. And what you mentioned something very good, Skip. You said Article 46. It also says that the commissioner does not need to have charges or conviction for him to deem something unbecoming or detrimental to the National Football League.
Yep.
I repeat, he does not need a charge or a conviction to hand down punishment of conduct detrimental or harmful to the National Football League. So basically what he's saying, Ezekiel Elliott, you didn't get charged. You weren't even convicted. But we think your behavior is so egregious that this is what your punishment should be. Now, Skip, if I'm Zeke, I'm upset for a reason. Now, yeah, I put myself in this situation. So first of all, I'm going to be upset at myself because I put myself in a lot of situations that I probably shouldn't have. But Zeke is sitting back and his representatives are sitting back like, hold on, wait a minute. We got a kicker named Josh Brown that last year played for the New York Giants. He told the owner, John Mara, that I abused my wife. He also told that to the NFL. Skip, he got drunk at the Pro Bowl. They had to move his wife and kids to a different location. This is not secondhand. This is not hearsay. The NFL intervened, and he got 2 games.
Yep.
So Zeke said, hold on. A guy told you he did it. His wife told you he did it. You intervened at the Pro Bowl, so you know what he's capable of doing, and he got 2 games. It's my word against her word, and I get 6. And you said you didn't factor in any outside, but they did. Because if you look at the wording of it, they factored heavily in what happened on that St. Patrick's Day, leading up to it where he exposed that lady's breast. And that had a lot to do with it. Skip, I hope this is a wake-up call for this young man, because I told you he's going down a dangerous road here. And I also said his head coach, his general manager, Jerry Jones, they will never, ever have a peaceful night's sleep as long as he's on their roster.
Okay, I got that. But we're still back to, did he beat up this woman repeatedly that week?
Yes.
Do we know that for sure? Because I'm unconvinced about that. I'm hazy about it. Maybe, maybe not. So to me, the one accusation against Ezekiel that is hardest to defend is domestic violence.
Yeah.
Because it does come down to her word against his basically in the end, right?
Correct.
So it feels like they said, let's nail him for this for 6 games, but it's really cumulative, and you can throw in pulling the top down.
Yes.
Okay? But all the incidents, there are a dozen incidents.
That in and of itself, Skip, could have given up 2. Because they mentioned it in the write-up. That in and of itself is a violation. So they could have really slapped him with 2 games just for that alone.
They probably could have. Well, they can do anything they want.
Yes.
But they could probably have justified that.
Skip, in Article 46, 31 of 32 teams said, Commissioner Goodell, we want you to have all that power because you said we're going to have less practice time. We're going to be in pads less. We're going to have less OTAs. We're going to have 1 padded practice during in training camp. And for that, we're willing to give you all this power. 31 of 32 teams. Ryan Clark and the Steelers said, nope, that's too much.
Way to go, Ryan.
The owners signed that unanimously. 32-0.
And it was because the constituency of the NFLPA, the players, they're finally saying, I just want my check, man. I want to play.
That's Skip. Because what happened is that the players like, I'm not going to go before the commissioner. I'm on the up and up. I'm straight. The NFLPA upper management's like, guys, you're not going to have to go before the commissioner. Oh, lo and behold, 2 of the faces of the National Football League had to go before the commissioner. And you know what I noticed, Skip? As long as he was dishing out that punishment to one Pac-Man Jones, Jerry Jones and nobody had a problem. The players never had a problem long as it was Pac-Man because, you know, Pac-Man, he a bad seed. But when Tom Brady and Ezekiel Elliott got entangled in that very web, it's a big, large web too, Skip, and you can't escape it. Now, all of a sudden, he has too much power. He never had too much power when he was suspending Pac-Man for 8 games or suspending Pac-Man for 3 games, because we look at Pac-Man, or they looked at Pac-Man, Adam Jones, as a bad apple. Now we got some good apples, allegedly, and they got caught up in this web.
Yep.
Now, all of a sudden, we want to go back and revisit. Jerry Jones never had a problem. Because think about it, Skip, even when he got fined for circumventing the salary cap, Jerry like, okay, cool. That's cool. Hey, I make money go on trees to me. When Tom Brady got there, that's why commissioners make the big bucks. We pay him to make tough decisions. He had no problem with that. Now what we're starting to see is that when his player, marquee player, gets ensnared in this trap, now all of a sudden we're going to rethink how we're going to do business.